Yeah, so I've turned into a gardener, and a lot of times in mornings, I come out here and I listen to like my favorite stuff. One of them's a pretty obscure record from 1975. You want to hear it? Let's do it. How's that? And I don't often tell people this. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. I was the quarterback of my high school football team. Arrested 2 or 3 times by the time I was 20. Thrown out of 3 colleges. And did punk rock radio in St. Louis from 1976 until early 80, late 79, I guess. And that was when I moved to Chicago and hooked up with Gayleen and Dawn and Lorna Donnelly, and I became the boy guitar player in the girl band. Lauren and I and I played in some other bands, and Lauren and I had a later band in the 80s called The Veil. You know, and then at a certain point my drinking and drugging became full-blown, and then at some point after that ended, I made a movie and got sued in federal court.
It's a great movie, though.
Thank you.
Occasionally, it will pop up for brief windows of time on the internet.
That's right.
So if you get a chance to see it, you got to watch it.
And then the lawyers insist that it be pulled down.
Yeah.
Yeah. The record I'm going to talk about today was actually like, you know, there's some records that are, I mean, there's a lot of records I could talk about as favorites. I was always looking for something that was outside a little bit, you know. You know, I remember, you know, I bought things like, you know, Amon Duel records in 1972 and 3 because I liked the covers, you know, or, you know, Hawkwind's Space Ritual. Oh my God, what is this, you know? And this record was a little bit like that, in that by the end of the glam period, I remember seeing this album, David Werner's Whiz Kid, on the wall of a record store in St. Louis. And I remember looking at it and thinking, well, this looks kind of interesting. I think I picked it up a couple times and looked at it. I don't know, but I kind of, for whatever reason, I didn't get it. And then at some point after that was in 1974 when this was released by RCA. And in 75, I don't actually remember the circumstance of how or why I bought this, though I think it was probably because I recognized, you know, the name, and I thought, oh, that's that guy that had that, you know, that glammy looking album called Whiz Kid. And I don't know, there was something about it. I thought, let me get this. And it actually kind of blew me away. It was just, there was something about this record that just resonated with me. You know, it was a little bit, you know, you could hear the Bowie influence in it for sure. The guitar playing was great. I thought the guitar playing on it was really cool. It reminded me of like Mick Rolfe's and Mick Ronson, and I really liked that. And the guitar player's tone was a guy named Mark Doyle. The guitar player's tone, I was just right on. I thought it was great. The songs were really smart. I thought they were really smart, like lyrically. smart. And I really kind of fell in love with the record and quickly discovered that, like, you know, radio stations weren't playing it. Nobody knew anything about this guy. And I very quickly went back and found this, which was all over the cutout bins at the time. You know, you could pick it up for $1 or whatever. It was both of these copies are cut, as you can see. They instantly went to the cutout bins. Some people will remember what cutout bins were. And it was just one of those records that resonated with me, from Imagination Quota. I don't know, there was just something, it was like this weird romantic kind of hard rock thing, but it had a lot of sonic textures, which I liked. It was well produced. It was actually recorded at the record plant in LA. But it was clearly a band. It wasn't like session players. There's a song in here called Cold Shivers, which is arguably maybe the standout cut, which is this really cool song, basically about his fascination with Mick Jagger and how he, you know, wanted to be like that. I don't know, I just kind of identified with it. It's radio friendly. It's as good as anything from that period, I think. And it could have been all over the radio. It wasn't. Instantly went to the cutout bins, and it just disappeared, and has never been reissued on CD. Even now on YouTube, where it's like it seems like you can find just about anything. Mm-hmm. People have posted stuff. It's like there's only a handful of tracks from these two albums, and even his third record. He had a third album on RCA a few years later. He did subsequently, he seemed to kind of disappear, but he continued to, he's originally from Pittsburgh. He stayed involved in the Pittsburgh music scene on some level for, I think, through the 80s and 90s. He became a producer, continued to be a songwriter, and actually had a substantial hit that was recorded by Billy Idol. Cradle of Love, in what year was that? Early 90s, right? Yeah, it was in the Ford Fairlane movie. And, you know, so no doubt he's seeing some songwriting royalties, I would guess. He also, one of the songs that he wrote during that period was recorded by Tom Jones. You know, I mean, it seems like millions of kids worship at the altar of Nick Drake, you know, or Big Star, you know, and all of that's, I mean, it's way cool. It's great music, but you know, so is this. But there's always, like, you know, I've always had this kind of affinity for things that's like, oh yeah, I know about it, nobody else does.
That's fun.
It's the cult hero thing. Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know.
Well, maybe someday I'll make a movie about him, and then he can sue me.
Yeah. Well, Dave, if this video doesn't result in his records getting reissued, perhaps we can get them out of the 99-cent bin, and maybe they'll turn into like a $5 record.
Yeah, great.
When I turn it on, it wants to be jump started.
Here it is.
Thing.